story begins with a case of school bullying. Two high schools in Thailand are holding an intense volleyball match. During the game, a girl accidentally slips and falls, and Bus Saba, the team captain, shoots her a cold look, but fortunately, they still manage to win in the end. After the match, Bus Saba walks up to Ya and asks her to meet her in the locker room. Just then, their classmate Orn walks into the locker room, and the moment she steps inside, she hears strange noises coming from within. Frightened, she quickly hides in the next stall. It turns out that Bus Saba has brought two of her lackeys and is bullying Ya.
ถ้าไม่เอาตังค์มาให้กูไม่ได้ถ้ามึงเอาตังค์มาให้กูไม่ได้มึงก็แดกน้ำไปแล้วกันให้มันจริงนะ
After Bus Saba and her followers leave, Orn rushes over and finds Ya's neck tangled tightly with a water hose. She struggles to breathe. Orn quickly helps her loosen it, and Ya barely escapes death. The next day, Ya feels unwell and doesn't come to school. When Bus Saba hears about it, she becomes furious. At that moment, Orn happens to walk into the classroom. Since Orn and Ya are close friends, Bus Saba vents all her anger on Orn and threatens her, saying, "Before the end of the day, you must bring Ya to the gym." But Bussaba's rage doesn't cool down. She suddenly grabs Orn's hair and drags her harshly into a corner. Luckily, the teacher arrives in time and saves Orn from being hurt. After everyone returns to their seats, the teacher begins introducing a new transfer student, a girl named Jean, who has transferred from a sports school. Hearing this, one of the students whispers that Jean used to be the captain of a volleyball team and was even interviewed by the news. Bussaba's attitude changes instantly. At lunchtime, Orn kindly warns Jean that if she wants to join the volleyball team, she should stay low-key. But before she finishes speaking, a chicken bone flies onto their table. Both of them look up and see Bus Saba glaring fiercely at them. The other students around tremble in fear. Later that afternoon during team practice, Ya, who had taken leave before, suddenly shows up at the gym. As soon as Ya tries to explain herself, a volleyball flies straight toward her and knocks her to the ground. Although everyone dislikes Bussaba's behavior, no one dares to step forward. Hong said that back in middle school, she and Jean had also been bullied, but after Jean stood up for herself, the bullies never dared to bother her again.
มาแข่งกันถ้าเราทำบอลเสียเรานั่งเองแต่ถ้าแกแพ้แกต้องพอได้ละ
Bus Saba, who has never lost a fight, feels humiliated. She stands up wanting to teach Jean a lesson, but just then, the coach arrives, forcing Bus Saba to walk away in frustration. After practice, Ya invites Jean and a few friends to lunch to thank her for helping. It also serves as a small welcome meal for the new student. From her classmate Hong, Jean learns that back in middle school, both she and Hong were once bullied, but ever since Jean fought back, the bully never dared to bother her again. Jean can't understand why everyone is so afraid of Bus Saba. Bus Saba was originally a year older than them, but for some unknown reason, she took a year off, and when she returned, she became even worse than before. Not only is Bus Saba beautiful, but she's also a top student. Even when teachers know she bullies others, they turn a blind eye. While they're talking, Jean accidentally stains her clothes and goes to the restroom to wash them. She turns around and bumps into a handsome boy. And in that instant, she's completely captivated by him. The boy seems to find Jean attractive too and starts a conversation. They talk only briefly before Orn walks in, and the boy reluctantly leaves. Once the boy is gone, Orn quickly warns Jean to stay away from him, because he's Bussaba's boyfriend. Gone. And if Bus Saba finds out they talked, it'll end badly. Jean nods quietly in understanding. Sure enough, when Jean and her friends return to the classroom, Bus Saba blocks their way and tells Jean to meet her on the rooftop. After the conflict at practice the day before, the coach had warned Bus Saba that if she caused trouble again, her scholarship would be revoked. So Bus Saba suggests settling it with a fight, saying, "Once we fight, we're even, and we'll have nothing to do with each other." Her words triggered Jin's memories back then. After she stood up to her own bully, that girl didn't back down. During their struggle, Jean accidentally pushed her off the rooftop, and she died on the spot. After school, Jean takes a picture of her legs and sends it to an online friend. The guy replies saying he's fallen in love with her legs and can't wait to meet her. Jean asks him to send a photo of himself, but when she receives it, she's stunned that man is none other than Bussaba's boyfriend. Gone. At that moment, a car horn blares outside. Jean looks out the window and sees Bus Saba getting into a car with an older man. The next morning, Bus Saba waits for Jean at school. She tells her she's found a tutoring job so she doesn't have to borrow money from Ya anymore. But since it's her first time doing this kind of work, she's nervous and asks Jean to come with her. That night, the two walk down a secluded alley. Jean senses something's wrong and wants to turn back, but Bus Saba assures her the client is nice and there's nothing to worry about. So Jean follows her upstairs without any suspicion. To her shock, once they arrive, Bus Saba suddenly pushes Jean inside the room, takes the client's money, and walks away. Before Jean can react, several men grab her. Panicking, she pulls out a small knife and stabs one of them, then struggles desperately until she finally escapes onto the street. Back at school, the first thing Jean does is confront Bus Saba.
มึงหลอกกูไปขายตัวเลยเหรอจะเล่นแบบนี้ใช่ปะไหนหลักฐานนะ
But Bus Saba pretends not to know anything, and Jean can only hold back her tears and walk away. She later tells her mother everything and begs to transfer schools, but her mother refuses, saying she just transferred not long ago. Then Gun, Bus Saba's boyfriend, messages Jean again, asking to meet. Jean agrees and sets the place at the training ground. Just as Jean is about to leave, Bus Saba happens to arrive and sees Gun flirting with another girl.
พ่อกูเพราะกูเปย์มึงเพราะกูง่ายเพราะมึงสงสารกูมึงได้ตายห่าเลยเหี้ยมึงได้มากเลยอ่ะมึงบอกเลยว่าจะมึงเป็นใครจะมึงเป็นใครเนี่ยโอ้ย
It turns out Gun never truly cared about Bus Saba, he was only playing with her feelings. At that moment, Jean accidentally made a sound, and Gun, afraid of ruining his image, quickly walked away, only to realize he had forgotten his phone. When he turns back, Bus Saba, furious and heartbroken, snaps, pulling out a knife and lunging at him, but fortunately, the nearby students stop her before tragedy strikes. In that moment, Bus Saba also spots Jean standing not far away. After this incident, Bus Saba is expelled from school. No matter how much she begs, the decision stands. Just when everyone thinks things are finally over, the school janitor discovers Bus Saba hanging lifelessly from the volleyball court ceiling. Later, the school brings in a monk to perform a ritual, but at the same time, someone mysterious is seen conducting another ceremony inside the gym. As the ritual ends, a terrifying scream echoes through the hall, the lights go out, and a fierce wind blows, sending everyone into a panic. In the chaos, Jean is knocked to the ground, and a coffin in front of her suddenly falls over. That night, several girls, too frightened to sleep alone, decide to share a room with the lights on, but around midnight, Orn hears something moving. She opens her eyes and sees the chairs in the room shifting by themselves. Terrified, she tries to wake Jean, but no matter how many times she calls, there's no response. Then suddenly, Orn feels a cold chill creeping up her back. Her scream jolts everyone awake, and they quickly realize it was just a nightmare. After calming Orn down, everyone goes back to sleep, but as soon as Orn lies down, she feels herself being lifted off the floor. A rope suddenly wraps around her neck from behind and tightens. Panicking, she grabs her phone, only to see a red mark on her neck exactly where the rope had been. The next morning, they discover a pile of trash in the middle of the volleyball court. Directly beneath the spot where Bus Saba was found hanging, the cleaning lady nearby says that even if she were fired, she wouldn't dare clean that place. Curious, Jean asks what's going on, and the cleaning lady finally reveals the truth.
ของปลุกผี
ปลุกผีมาทำอะไรอะ
มาตามฆ่าคนที่มันแค้นแล้วนี่ของแรงด้วย สภาพไหม้แบบเนี้ยแสดงว่ามันปลุกผีเสร็จละภายใน3 วัน ผีจะตามฆ่าคนที่มันแค้น2 วันแรกอะนะมันจะมาหลอกจนเราอยู่ไม่ได้ และพอเข้าวันที่3มันก็เอาเราถึงตายต่อให้หนีไปบวชก็ไม่รอด
Her words remind Orn of what happened last night, but no one pays much attention until later during practice. Ya sees something terrifying. The other students rush to help her, but when Jean asks what happened, Ya suddenly grabs her by the neck like she's possessed. If not for the coach and classmates pulling her away, Jean might have been strangled. Ya hurried to the restroom to compose herself. recalling the cleaning lady's earlier words. No sooner had she finished speaking than the cleaning lady walked in and asked, "Just like I told you?" Before they can respond, the woman's face twists into a strange smile. Then she jumps onto the sink and starts slamming her head against the mirror. Before anyone can react, the restroom lights go out, and Jean quickly turns on her phone's flashlight. At that critical moment, Gunn bursts in, flips on the lights, and the cleaning lady suddenly returns to normal. After sending her to the hospital, Gunn tells them he's experienced similar strange things himself. This makes Yao believe even more that Bussaba's ghost has truly returned. With Gunn leading the way, they visit a local shaman for help, but as soon as the shaman begins to speak, he seems possessed and goes into a frenzy. After a while, he regains control and tells them, "To end this curse, you must find the one who performed the summoning ritual. Within 3 days, pour cursed water on that person and the ritual objects, or destroy the summoner otherwise. None of you will survive." After returning home, the group decides to stay together, but the biggest problem is that they have no idea who the summoner is. Jean suspects it might be the volleyball coach, because she once saw Bus Saba getting into his car. Gunn thinks it could be Bussaba's father, because Bus Saba once mentioned that her father studied dark rituals, and since he didn't attend her funeral, it's possible he used that time to summon her spirit. Speaking of those who didn't attend the funeral, Orn suddenly remembers that Ya and Hong weren't there either. Ya explains that she had a bad headache that day, while Hong says she stayed behind to walk Ya back to the dorm, but now isn't the time for suspicion to end this nightmare as soon as possible. They decide to visit Bussaba's house the next day and see if her father might know something. If they couldn't find any clues there, they would then investigate the volleyball coach. The next morning, on her way to class, Jean notices the dorm manager sneaking around Bussaba's old room. When she asks what's going on, he explains that this room used to belong to Bus Saba. Ever since her death, her parents have been unreachable, and the school now plans to clean it out for reuse. As she spoke, the dorm manager looked uneasy, saying she had just heard strange noises coming from inside. Hearing that, Jean becomes intrigued, thinking she might find clues about who performed the summoning ritual, so she offers to help clean the room. Inside, Jean finds a tablet on the bookshelf. She tries several passwords but none work, until a poster on the wall catches her eye. Taking a guess, she enters 2 numbers 13 and 13, and to her surprise, it unlocks. Inside the tablet's social app, she finds a contact named Secret Person. She starts typing a message, but before she can send it, the dorm manager calls from outside, urging her to hurry up. Jean quickly puts the tablet back, but just as she's about to leave, she spots a shadow outside the window. When she turns around, no one's there. Then, out of nowhere, fresh footprints appear on the bed. Terrified, Jean bolts for the door but trips over a flying chair. Before she can stand, Bussaba's figure appears right behind her. Panicked, Jean gripped the knife tightly and swung it blindly, accidentally stabbing the person at the door. Luckily, it was only the dorm manager holding a box. Meanwhile, her classmates are taking an exam, when suddenly, a dark figure enters through the back door. In an instant, chaos erupts as everyone screams and flees the room. Moments later, they gather at the gym, telling the teacher they saw a ghost during the test. But the teacher insists they're just under too much stress and will forget about Bus Saba with time. Deep down, everyone knows it wasn't their imagination. Jean then confronts the coach, saying she knows about his special relationship with Bus Saba, accusing him of being the one who performed the ritual. Before she finishes, the coach lowers his head in shame, then suddenly bursts into eerie laughter.
ก็เห็นบอกว่าอยากจะเป็นนักเรียนโควต้าไม่ใช่หรอก็จัดให้แล้วไงอะไรอีกอะถ้าผมจะปลุกผีบุษบาขึ้นมาจริงๆมันไม่ใช่เพราะว่ารักหรอกว่าติดใจนะฮะคุณพูดอะไรออกมาดูไอ้สัตว์เฮ้ยมีใครอยากดูดบ้างอะ
When he regains consciousness, he's completely confused, as if he'd been possessed. Just then, a girl taking photos screams. Everyone turns toward her, and their Bussaba's body is hanging from the basketball hoop. the students scatter in terror. To uncover the truth, the group heads to Bussaba's house. The windows are sealed shut, so they break their way in. Inside, the place is deserted, but the table is covered with ritual tools. As they prepare to destroy them, Jean notices a familiar symbol on the wall. It's identical to the profile icon of the secret person. Before she can think, a man charges down the stairs with a knife, attacking wildly. In the nick of time, Orn throws the cursed water on him. To their shock, he immediately stops attacking and runs back upstairs. They chase after him, but by the time they reach the window, the man has already escaped. At that moment, Hong finds a creepy doll used in the ritual. They quickly pour the cursed water over it, and as the liquid hits, the tiles outside begin to crack. Everyone breathes in relief, believing it's finally over. The ritual is complete, and the 3-day limit has passed. But that night, while shopping at the market, Jean spots familiar objects being sold. The vendor tells her, these are charms made to ward off spirits. Her heart sinks. They look exactly like the one she saw in Bussaba's house. Could it be that the man they splashed wasn't the true summoner? She checks her phone and realizes there are still 2 minutes left before the 3-day deadline. Meanwhile, the shaman who once helped them is in the hospital after losing control during the last ritual. Bussaba's spirit now stands on top of his chest. It turns out the shaman who helped Jean was the same one who had summoned Bus Saba in the first place. His power wasn't strong enough to contain her. Sensing danger, Jean rushes to warn her friends, unaware that Gun is already in trouble. While sitting in his car, Gun gets a call, then hears something behind him. He turns and sees Bussaba's spirit. The ghost locks the doors and traps him inside, taking control of the car as it speeds up to 280. When Jean arrives, fuel is leaking everywhere. Gun's eyes are injured, and the car's wiring is fried, leaving the doors jammed. Desperately, Jean smashes a window and tries to pull him out, but the metal pipes above suddenly crash down. Jean narrowly escapes harm, but before they can recover, the ghost takes control again, slamming the car into reverse. Jean realizes Bus Saba will hunt them one by one. Out of options, she goes to the hospital to find the shaman, only to discover he's already dead. She quickly tries to warn the others, but Ya, having turned off her phone before bed, never receives the message. That night, Ya hears strange noises outside her window. Worried, she uses her tablet's camera to scan the darkness. Suddenly, Bussaba's voice echoes through the room, and eerie marks appear on the window. As Ya tries to flee, a flying pen strikes her eye, sending her collapsing in agony. Hearing the noise, her mother rushes in, but opening the door seals Ya's tragic fate. Later that night, Jean returns to Bussaba's father's house and finds a rental contract in the drawer. Seeing Hong's name written on it, she suddenly recalls his strange behavior. The cursed doll they found earlier was the one he had discovered, but it wasn't meant for summoning spirits. It was actually used to ward them off. At the same time, Hong lures Orn to the gym, claiming that she has found a way to solve everything. She says, if we summon Bussaba's spirit and apologize, she'll forgive us. Though frightened, Orn agrees, wanting to tell Jean first, but Jin's phone has just died. When Orn can't reach her, Hong insists, everyone else might already be dead. It's just the two of us now. If we don't finish the ritual, we'll be next. Terrified, Orn helps she start the ceremony. During the ritual, she apologizes to the heir, saying they never should have killed Bus Saba together. Hong freezes in shock. The truth finally spills out. After Bus Saba discovered her boyfriend's affair, she confronted Jean with photos. When Gun found out, instead of defending her, he accused her of having an affair with the coach. The argument escalated, and in the chaos, Bus Saba was pushed onto the basketball hoop, breaking her neck instantly. To cover it up, they dressed Orn in Bussaba's clothes, made her walk under the cameras looking hopeless, then hung Bussaba's body from the hoop to stage a suicide so no one would ever suspect Jean and the others. Disgusted by the confession, Hong snaps and kills Orn. Moments later, Jean arrives and demands to know why Hong brought Bussaba's spirit back. Hong's answer shocks her. She admits he enjoyed being bullied by Bus Saba. Even after her death, she missed she so much that she couldn't stand the loneliness. Then both of them pick up knives and charge at each other. just when Jean thinks it's over, a giant centipede crawls into her body. It turns out that Hung's family had long practiced dark magic, and she had always known how to bring Bus Saba back to life. As long as the centipedes crawled into Jin's body, Bus Saba could be reborn through her. Soon after, the school returns to its peaceful routine, but Jin's body is no longer her own. Bussaba's spirit now lives within her. And as for Hong, she survives, continuing to indulge in the same twisted pleasure he once felt under Bussaba's control. The film ends right there.